22 years ago, William Holden came to Kenya on a hunting safari. Over the years, he saw the diminishing herds of the ancient plains and was moved to establish a game ranch for the preservation of the species he once hunted. The work that he started will be carried on by his partners and friends, and by me, Stephanie Powers.
It's one of those things where one has to experience it in order to understand it. Words fail you, in other words. That old saying, words fail me, when I try to describe what the feeling of being here and in our particular case, involved with conservation and wildlife. It's just something that has to be experienced.
That's a male, Bill. We don't want it. Okay, we'll try and pick one up.
Bill had a strong attraction to the straw-colored land of East Africa. In his work with the Mount Kenya Game Ranch, Bill and his American partner, Don Hunt, often ventured outside their private sanctuary of Hope. In this case, to the Laikipia Plains, to rescue giraffe due to be cropped under a government control program. The burning of habitat, the presence of poachers and cattle farmers, threatens the wild creatures of the bush more each year. The savanna retreats beneath an ever-tightening jacket of human population. Bill saw the need to act and raised his bamboo pole in the wind, knowing that a rope around this slender neck was a lifeline to a new freedom. While in Kenya in 1981, Bill gave a rare interview. In fact, the only interview he ever allowed to be filmed at the ranch. In it, he explained why.
I always felt that I never wanted to capitalize on this particular involvement and endeavor. And for the 22, 23 years, I really haven't done much about publicizing in any respect what we've been doing. But we all must recognize that there are phases in life, and going out and capturing either a rhino or elephant or giraffe or whatever the animal might be, there's going to be a day when I'm not going to feel like doing it anymore. And I feel that in this particular interview that some of the things that we've tried to accomplish might be stated, that's all.
This year, when I returned to Kenya and drove around the ranch with Don Hunt, I was filled with the same hope and excitement that brought Bill back here so many times. The ranch is a kind of ark, protecting wildlife from the flood of Kenya's high birth rate. With new mouths to feed, the animal's domain is sacrificed for cropland. Bill had a vision that some of the species might be saved by translocation to other habitats.
The people that were against the translocation of the Grevy zebra, for a while we thought they may have been right. But a couple of weeks ago, we got tremendous news from Billy Whitley, the game warden down in Tsavo. The Grevy zebra that we translocated have taken hold in Tsavo Park, and they found some babies.
Oh, that's great.
So it worked.
Bill also wanted the children of Kenya to see their wildlife heritage.
It was one of Bill's ideas that we build a wildlife education center on the ranch for the local school children. The children that live in the bush don't have a place to go to see wildlife.
His dream came true in 1985 when the William Holden Wildlife Foundation began to provide the children of Kenya with an opportunity to see firsthand some of the rare species of animals that live in their midst. Through the foundation, nearly 4,000 students per year now learn about the wisdom of saving these species and their habitats.
These are white rhino. They come originally from southern Africa. They're not native to Kenya. The rhino has a very good sense of smell and a very good sense.
Wildlife and environmental issues go hand in hand on these excursions.
Back and forth.
Students are also taken to the adjacent Mount Kenya Game Ranch, where an orphaned population of wild animals gives them a closer acquaintance with the bush. The animal orphanage is a unique part of the ranch that is also devoted to special breeding projects. The bongo, a shy and beautiful antelope, is one of the rarest of its kind, and few humans have ever even seen them in the wild.
You know, when we first started the game ranch, no one would have ever believed that you'd get this close to a bongo.
Bill and Don made the bongo the symbol of the ranch, as the bongo represents their attempt to preserve even the most elusive dwellers of the forest for the sake of the diversity that marks the animal kingdom. The continual preservation of wildlife increases our sense of wonder at nature's cycle of death and renewal. The Foundation's cornerstone is, of course, the Wildlife Education Center. Completed in 1985. Somehow, every time I think of what we've done here, it reminds me of Bill and how proud he would have been to see all of this come true. In groups of 20, 30, or even 40, students come and go throughout the year. This classroom in the wild offers the immediacy of impressions vital to creating an excitement about nature, the nature that will one day be theirs to shape.
Follow me, I'll show you where to put your food over here. How many boys? How many girls?
Every step has been taken here to stress human as well as animal conservation, but some of the old ways still remain. Girls in one tent, boys in another. Instructors live on the 15-acre grounds of the center, which also serves as the hub for our outreach program in rural areas all over Kenya. This little Eden on the Nanyuki River practices what it preaches, offering new ideas for non-polluting resource conservation. We use extensive solar heating, grow our own vegetables and fruits, cook with fuel-efficient stoves in an effort to combat deforestation, and we have a nursery where students are shown how to grow and care for seedlings of a fast-growing multi-purpose tree whose use extends from fodder to fuel. Students and adult groups alike are exposed to our fish farm. On a small piece of land adjacent to the river, we have created a pond by temporarily diverting some of the water. We buy fingerlings from a nearby fishery, feed them up to market size, and thus create a cash crop impossible to equal with conventional farming on a small piece of land. I like to call this our example of using but not abusing nature. The newest arrivals at our education center are 6 llamas from Chile. These exotic beauties are the camels of South America and are not only a hit with our students, but are perfect ambassadors for the animal kingdom's diversity. Those of us who serve as directors for the foundation are constantly trying to figure out ways to improve the place, so building seems endless. But the greater part of these timbers and joints, the ever-changing skeleton of this place, is the vital work of education. In our library and classroom, groups have a chance to see books that take them not only into the bush beyond the garden fence, but also into the wildlife of other countries, underlining the delicate connection between environments thousands of miles away from their own. Best of all is to see the response in the children themselves, the way the light of knowledge plays on their excited eyes. Most of our teachers are Kenyan nationals who have come through the local school system.
Yes, Wanjiru.
There is too much poaching of some of the animals so that they have now become endangered.
There's too much poaching. Any other question? Yeah.
The population of Kenya is increasing, and most people are famous and are farmers, and they need the land for agriculture.
Students are asked to keep a diary during their stay at the education center, pages they can turn back to while thinking about their future in this land that reflects not only the past, but man's beginnings. The high altitude and equatorial heat in the forest around Mount Kenya make this sea of green valuable for farming. Man and his machinery have quilted the land into arable geometric shapes that suggest a familiar but unnatural order. Grazing cattle, a sign of human prosperity, further reduce the bush by destroying vegetation. With his incessant urge to conquer and multiply, man commands an army of fence posts, colonizing the bush with the alarming echo of his hammer. Farmers have long accused wild animals of destroying their crops. Here, a dramatic confrontation between the human need for land and wildlife that cannot abide the artificial boundary, defiantly leaping the length of wire that attempts to disturb their ancestral pattern of life. In 1969, William Holden visited Lake Turkana for another kind of preservation.
We are trespassers with a purpose.
To Kenya's last holdout of primitive life, we come in the interest of posterity. With both capture vehicle and camera car, to protect the great herds of animals that mass here, and to record a way of human life before it vanishes from the face of our earth.
In his documentary, The Jade Sea, Bill tried to describe the value of these primitive tribes to a world centuries away.
There's little room in today's world for the man of yesterday. Few places where he is left to pursue his life the way it was designed by nature. One such place is a body of water known in legend as the Jade Sea. A 200-mile splash of blue against Kenya's parched yellow desert, self-protected from the outside world by its own hostile environment, granting sanctuary only to those who were born to it. Though today, aware that there is a world different from their own, the privacy of their lives is rarely broken. The introduction of any new or foreign sound, a jarring intrusion.
We also came as trespassers. Over the years, Bill had donated medicine and food to help the El Molo, who were themselves in peril of extinction. Father Joseph, a local missionary and longtime friend of the El Molo, had helped administer the aid. He also returned to renew his friendship with this remote tribe. Over the years, Father Joseph has continued to monitor the medical aid with the help of government funds awarded after Bill's documentary signaled the plight of the El Molo. It was a magical moment, the meeting of two cultures, arranged by a man who was no longer with us. Their way of life seemed to have stayed as still as the landscape since the time when Bill celebrated the El Molo as a people living within their environment, not beyond it. For theirs is a world of prehistory, when time was measured by the shifting of rocks. Yet the horizon of lava gives them no aid in their quest for survival, and they search for food, as they have for thousands of years, among the salty rippling of Lake Turkana. We had a chance to show Nguya and his tribe Bill's documentary on their way of life. We weren't sure how they'd react to the magic of seeing for the first time a moving image on a screen. But come to think of it, it's still magic for me too. It was clear that they welcomed the memory of their younger selves, while the children laughed as never before. Recalled the chaotic freedom of chasing balloons and seemed to relive the event with all the wonder of their childhood.
As each culture loses its heritage, so do we lose our own. And there is nothing cement can build to replace Lake Rudolph once it's gone. For with it goes something we will one day look back to find. The last reflection of the world as an infant, the last measure of how far we have come, and the last frame of reference for the simple word, mankind.